seems like everybody really enjoyed that time to be able to reflect, so thank you for sharing with one another. I collected some people's thoughts, and there's a lot of, there's just a lot of energy in this room. I think a lot of people said that they're feeling inspired and have learned a lot today. And I'm hoping that we can just collect that energy, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I also looked at your challenges, so I'm going to try to bring them out and ask the lawyers who have decided to come and share with us today some of the questions that you all have posed. So just to get us started, everyone in your books already has the formal bios of Mario and Bill. But I do need to give them an introduction, so I'm going to do something a little different and just give a personal introduction as to how I met them both, because I think that I've spent the last 7 years of being a lawyer really slowly learning and being exposed to movement lawyering and radical lawyering, and both Mario and Bill and actually Brian played a really big part in my education. And so I'm just going to make it a little personal. So I went down to Haiti after the earthquake, and I was working in Mario's office, working on housing rights and a few other issues. And I got to spend this time really struggling with Mario on very complex issues of movement support. Movement support in these communities that were really struggling from crisis and just didn't have the time to build as they were facing attack after attack after attack. And we must have spent so many car rides and hours in your office and walking around just talking about how are we going to deal with these crises while still building power in these communities. And I think that Mario has been drawing from the more than decade of work that he's been doing organizing communities in Haiti to really work with them to push a system that is so much against the people. And then at the same time, Bill and Mario have been working together for years, and they are, to me, a really great model of transnational actual solidarity in the way Philip, I think, described it for us today. And Bill had come down with Sunita and Laura the first week that I was in Haiti, and I saw Bill working with Mario on creating these workshops for women's groups. And through these workshops, I think that they really worked on drawing out of the women exactly what it was, what were the issues that they were facing and how they wanted to work on tackling them. And that process was just, it was very humbling, and it taught a lot about how little work a really radical lawyer actually needs to do when you're working with the community, because you're working to work with a lot of people. And Mario would always remind us the Haitian proverb, main en pile, chai pas lourd, which means many hands makes the weight less heavy. Yeah. Makes the weight light. Sorry, my translation is a little rusty. So I think that you can read about them more and you can talk about them more afterwards. But hopefully that just gives you an idea as to the way they work together. So that's what I want to focus on today. So I think the first question that I want to ask both of you, but I will start with Mario, is what we call your aha moment, right? So what was the moment? You started off wanting to be at some point you had decided that you wanted to work for social justice, but what was the moment that you realized that you really needed to work in a way that was very engaged with the community and that was driven by the community?
Bon, ça t'a demandé pour réfléchir en pile. Même j'ai commencé comme avocat, c'était en 93 avec Justice et Paix, et qui c'est une commission de droits humains et dans Gonaïve qui était demandé de travailler avec nous dans l'église et pour question de justice.
That question requires a lot of reflection, but I'll start with my career, which started in 1993, working with the Justice and Peace Commission of the Catholic Church, which was working with poor people for justice.
Et là, j'ai gagné deux travail. C'est d'abord faire formation et puis assister les gens qui étaient victimes. C'était exactement dans la période coup d'État et à recevoir.
At that point, I had two jobs. One was to do two responsibilities. One was to do education. The other was to go to court with people who were victims of human rights violations. And this was during the time of the first coup against President Harrison.
Mais en réalité, avocat en Haïti pas entrer dans la formation, même si c'est professeur dans l'école normale pour ça. Mais je ne pas trop comprendre comment question c'est à le tribunal à le plaider, à le dire tandis que c'était ça, je pensais qu'il était rôle. Mais ça a changé et pour comprendre une formation est importante pour apprendre particulièrement en Haïti. Et côté mon pas contre droit, pas de bonne éducation et il y a victime chaque jour de violation de droit.
And I didn't, as a lawyer, like other lawyers in Haiti, I didn't understand the need to do education work at first. Even though I was trained as a teacher before I was a lawyer, that didn't occur to me. But it was through having these two responsibilities of education and legal representation that I realized I needed to do more than just to stand up in court and represent people. And this is especially true in the case of a country like Haiti, where people have been deprived of knowledge about their rights and suffer from rights violations on a daily basis.
Même tu es conscient de système ça. C'est dans l'année peut-être 2 ans ou bien 1 an après que tu es entré dans le BAI, soit en 1998 comme ça. Et côté, nous sommes dans le procès et raboto. Et que Mounio était en débandade. Et c'était difficulté, avocat qui a commencé à cailler, et même pour le conscient sur ça, c'est là que tu as un prosécuteur, un commissaire, il était doué, et mon aboteur pensait qu'il pas en faveur. Parce que dans le système haïtien, c'est eux-mêmes qui, c'est le premier principal parti, c'est le commissaire pour défendre Mounza. Mais lui-même, tout les gens pas en faveur. Et Mounio te voulait et mettez à côté parce qu'il ne peut pas représenter.
So and a key moment for me came 1 to 2 years after I joined the BAI, and this was in 1997 or 1998, where we had a problem with the prosecutor who was not good. The victims in particular distrusted the prosecutor. And in our cases in Haiti, the prosecutor is very important. He's supposed to take the lead on bringing the case.
Et bagay ça était tellement difficile, nous sommes obligés de compter avec le président Préval. Et qui demandait ministre là, et pour le ministre là, tendez voir Mounio pour lui retirer le commissaire. Et ça, c'est pas le ministre là, qui a changé. C'est un avocat qui va venir ministre après ministre là, qui a fait le même argument pour demander au président et retirer le commissaire. Le ministre n'a pas retiré le commissaire et l'avocat ça a vu le ministre tout, il n'est pas d'accord à retirer. Jusqu'à ce que mon aboté nous organisé, il a fait manifestation, il a fait picket line, il a parlé dans la radio, il a parlé et puis le ministre sous pression obligé de faire ça.
One of the things we did in response to having this prosecutor that we didn't like was we first went to the president of the country, President Préval, and asked him to ask the Minister of Justice to appoint a new prosecutor. And we heard the President Préval did, but the Minister of Justice refused to fire that prosecutor. And then not long after, one of the lawyers who was with us in making that argument, he himself became Minister of Justice, but he still wouldn't fire that prosecutor, even though he knew the legal reasons why that person should not be in the position. And it was only so after that, then the victims of Rabateau, they started taking the streets and going to the press and making a lot of noise, and that was what ended up pushing the Minister of Justice to name a better prosecutor. It was the activism around the legal arguments.
Donc ça a été fait et le commissaire ça a été allé et c'était pas important pour nous entrer dans le procès. Bon, normalement, il faut me dire, ça me apprendre dans justice à la paix, dans faire formation à mon niveau. Tu aidé, mais Brian, en quelque sorte, était l'autre inspiration et qui t'a poussé dans ce sens ça. Et qui fait me comprendre, et nous ne pas seulement rentrer dans faire plainte et aller dans le tribunal, dans un système qui n'est pas bon. Il faut que nous engagions mon niveau. Il faut que nous engagions les victimes. Et les nous engager dans la formation, ça fait tout. Ça m'a donné le temps quand même pour nous aller à Boto presque 2 fois par semaine, et qui pas trop près Port-au-Prince, route n'a pas bon, mais nous avons fait sacrifice, nous avons un résultat. Et on pense que c'est dans la période ça. Moi, je suis vraiment conscient de travail avocat, pas seulement et travail dans le tribunal là, mais travail avec les victimes. Et moi, particulièrement en Haïti, parce que les gens n'ont pas de droit. Ils n'ont pas de droit. Et je vais expliquer au qu'on est, et Gina, excusez-moi. Ça veut dire que dans plusieurs expériences que nous faisons, nous sommes obligés de mettre les gens au courant de ça qui doit. Et même dans le tribunal là, il y a un juge qui ne connaît pas. Si tu as un article 22, article 22 de la Constitution qui baille mon droit au logement. Le juge ne pas comme ça. Et l'article 22 de la Constitution, le juge te saisi, l'homme t'a fait argument ça. Son tribunal de paix. L'homme t'a dit ça, mon niveau.
That's right. Okay. I'm going to do my best. That was a lot there. It was all very good. So we were able to force the prosecutor out, and that ended up, in retrospect, to be a very important step in the case. And part of the reasons why we did those political strategies was what I learned with the Justice and Peace Commission of doing education, but also a lot of it was ideas that Brian had brought down of impact litigation in the United States, where you combine the political with the legal strategies. And what was important was the combination of having the movement engaged, but also educated, especially in Haiti, where there is a deprivation of knowledge of rights. We really had to invest a lot of time in just basic rights education, which was hard. The roads were bad, so every time we drove to Ghana, which is a couple hours away, that took a lot of time and it wrecked our cars. But in the end, that was what gave us the results and allowed us to have the successful legal outcome of a trial. And it's also also important to note that the education isn't just to the movement. We actually have to educate the judges, because the judges don't know basic or don't understand basic, some of the basic human rights instruments in the law, like the constitutional, in our cases, the constitutional right to lodgement. Housing.
Parce qu'en réalité, l'école doit ne pas enseigner le droit de l'homme. Ça, c'est le premier manquement que nous avons. Et Koulia, même Koulia là, c'est Tikras par Tikras qui a enseigné dans l'école de droit et droit de l'homme. Et voit pour avocat engagé dans ce système ça. Donc c'est vraiment son bagage difficile. Mais l'expérience est vraiment utile et aide-nous dans le BAI. Et ça fait généralement, en 2004, et Bill Quickly était venu dans le cas de Jean Just, dans l'autre cas prisonnier politique. Mais engagement, madame prisonnier politique. Bah, entraînement, qui ça peut faire? Je vais nous fait pour le droit au logement. Ça veut dire qu'il était important pour te permettre de nous mettre dans une période pour te faire un coup d'État, pour mettre un pile prisonnier dans les dehors. C'est nous organiser madame yo. Et petit tout, nous fait parler dans la radio, nous fait parler, faire conférence de presse, nous parler de droits des prisonniers politiques, etc. Donc, il y a nous censés rougir, ouais, donc pour nous blanchir, ouais. Parce que tout dossier nous et impact là, c'est ça, c'est nous toujours dit victimes yo, et c'est pas nous-mêmes comme avocats qui mettent, c'est eux-mêmes qui mettent le dossier, c'est eux-mêmes qui pour.
It's getting harder. Today goes longer. So in law school, they didn't really teach us human rights, and certainly didn't teach us how to engage with political strategies. In Haiti now, there is a little bit more teaching of human rights, but still not the right way that people need to learn. And another example of mixing political and legal strategies came in 2004, and that was something that Bill was involved a lot, coming down to help us out with our advocacy, especially with one of our political prisoner clients, Father Jean Just. But another area we were working on for most of our political prisoners, the most effective tool wasn't going to court. It was actually the organization of the spouses, is mostly women, most political prisoners men. So it was the wives of the political prisoners, and it was the wives getting on the radio, doing demonstrations, and doing press conferences that really applied the pressure of the government to start giving the political prisoners their day in court that they needed to get out. And you know, again, when we look at what was an impact of these cases, it wasn't what caused the impact really was the organization, the movement.
Donc, principe là, c'est 50-50. Travail nous comme avocat et travail victime. Nous chaque 5 ans. Il faut chaque monde faire job. Donc, depuis ça fait, en réalité, on a fait succès.
And we see it that it's basically a 50-50 proposition that at best 50% of the results of legal work, and you really need at least half of it, of the contribution to the case coming from the movement or the victims.
Si victime ne veut pas engager, n'a pas d'information. Si vous pas engagé, nous ne pouvons pas avancer du tout.
And we can give them information, but if the victims in our cases can't or won't organize, the cases just aren't going to move forward.
Donc, c'est difficile en Haïti parce que nous sommes plus comme activistes que l'avocat. Et il y a un pile d'avocats qui dit que je vais garder le métier, je travaille avec mon pauvre, une manifestation avec eux, et choléra, quel que soit Duvalier, ça veut dire nous tout partout dans la rue, nous on fait manifestation. Avec nous marcher, faire des démonstrations pour accompagner. Et pour, bon, ça un petit genre avocat au père, l'autre avocat au père, mais et donc, moi, je suis avocat organique. Ouais. C'est avocat organique. Non plus en Haïti. Il n'est pas facile d'un avocat qui entre dans le système. C'est un avocat organique qui puisse demander la parole. Mais après ça, pas de rien.
And it's not always easy to do this in Haiti, especially among other lawyers. I'm accused of being an activist, not a lawyer. And many lawyers tell me that I'm ruining the profession by going out there and helping people engage with some of our important cases, the Duvalier case and the cholera case, as well as the housing cases. But it's this is results, and the other lawyers like to be what I call organic lawyers, where they just their role is asking to say their piece in court rather than actually doing what causes results.
Donc, dans le bureau avocat international, j'en connais Mina et Gina et Nicole et tout le monde, et Sophia et Sophie. Ok, nous commençons à grand monde tout. Donc, pas seulement il y a un cabinet quand nous parler avec eux, mais il y a un espace pour moun yo et pour moun yo organiser yo, pour faire chita organiser yo, pour faire conférence de presse et pour faire les journalistes et coulier là et BAI c'est une sorte d'espace et m'dakadou point focal pour la presse. Si on a besoin de jouer dans la presse pour mettre rien dans BAI parce que yo connaît il y a fini et yo toujours une organisation qui a la parole, quelle soit sous question de la monde ou bien sous question activité sociale et autres. Donc, BAI c'est un point focal pour victimes, et que ce soit les gens qui ont des problèmes dans le travail, et c'est un gros problème pour y aller. Nous avons fait un rencontre avec eux, avec les syndicats, ils ont organisé des têtes, et ils ont fait conférence, ils ont parlé aux jeunes journalistes, etc. Donc, BAI sont plaques tournantes. Et dans la question ça, pas seulement le cabinet, pas seulement le bureau, mais il y a un espace très large pour les victimes organiser et planifier. Je pense que ça c'est vraiment côté où j'ai commencé avec Baïsa, je pense qu'il y a un système de travail dans le Korea.
And so now the BAI office, which Gina knows, but also Mina and Nicole and Sophie, is not just a law office. It's also we have space there for victims to organize, to have press conferences, and to do other work to help build their movement. And it's become nationally it's become a focal point for press conferences. It's a place that journalists know they can come to get information about human rights struggles, but also other struggles for social justice. And for example, we're starting to do some labor and union work, and the labor activists are learning that it's a place where people can come to organize and to reach out for the press. And so in the end, it's not, we don't think of ourselves, we can't think of ourselves as a law office. It's a place for organizing as well.
Thank you, Mario. I think that really helps tell a story about how the process that it takes in the course of your career as a lawyer to really learn how to work with movements and how the challenges are always there and you need to continuously come up with new ways in interacting with communities. So on that note, I want to turn to Bill, and you said actually a bunch of things this morning that have really stuck with me, but one of them was, you said that we really need to learn from the people who are doing the work. And I want to ask you, when was the moment that you can really think of as the earliest point in your work that you learned that's your place of learning, and that's the place where you seek direction?
Well, if you do this for any amount of time, you learn and then relearn and learn again, and it's just a constant process of learning. But initially, as a lawyer, as I told you this morning, came out of the civil rights tradition, and through law school I clerked for 2 civil rights lawyers, and I really assumed that's what I was going to be. I wanted to be a civil rights lawyer. And to me, what that meant was taking a client and filing a civil rights lawsuit for them. And I had done a little bit of work before I went into law school with some community groups in a public housing development in New Orleans. 1,500 unit apartments called the St. Thomas was the name of one of the streets that went through. And I was friends. I'd become friends with some of those folks, and friends through law school. And my wife Debbie, who's here, we both lived in that neighborhood for several years and got to be friends with people. But I saw that sort of work that I did with them as sort of my personal life, and the work that I was doing as a civil rights lawyer as my professional life. And it wasn't long before, as a lawyer, that I was called upon to talk at a meeting for some clients who were doing a civil rights thing. And it was a meeting that was it was fewer people than are in this group. And they wanted me to stand up and say that it was a civil rights violation, that the money, the community development block grant money, was being primarily spent in the white neighborhoods and not in the black neighborhoods. And it was an evening, like a public hearing for the parish council, city council. And I was worried to death to do this thing. And it was like a 2-minute, you could only speak for 2 minutes. And I stood up and I spoke for them. And honest to God, I was shaking so much that I thought you could probably see my heart moving in my shirt, because my heart was pounding so much. And I was never really done public speaking before and that. And when I sat down, they were all just so thrilled that I had done this. And several of the people in this group, some were ministers and that, they were really accomplished speakers. But to have this young white guy be part of their group to say that it was a civil rights issue was really helpful to them. And what they had done for me to get me to stand up and to start to confront the challenge of speaking in public to at least a semi-hostile audience was really terrific. And as the months and the years went on, the personal, my friendships with the people deepened into my professional work too. And so it became that it wasn't really like me and the client. It was like I was one of the team with them and trying to figure out what to do. They would say, we need to do a protest. What can we do and not get arrested? And I had friends that they did protests, but they wanted to get arrested. Well, people in the housing development, they didn't want to get arrested. They had plenty of opportunity to get arrested. And they didn't need to make a sense about that. But as the time went on, I realized that in the public housing developments, almost all women that I was working with, almost all were mothers or grandmothers. Almost all were on public assistance of some sort, living in public housing and taking care of sometimes their kids and somebody else's kids as well. So they were making like $600 a month was what they were getting. And they didn't have cars, they didn't have education and all that. And then I went through the process from when I was helping them to when we were on the same team. And that's when I realized, gee, this grandmother who maybe only went to 6th grade out in rural Louisiana, she she knows a lot that I don't know about this neighborhood, about how to get people together, how to quiet down the one who you want to have quiet down, and how to encourage the one who needs to speak up. And I realized it's not a matter of education, and that it really is that we are, that we are teams, and that once you become a team, that people really, you can turn a loss into a victory, because it really is about building that team. And as people have more experience, just like me, more experience standing up in front of a city council, or experience doing a media interview, or experience of calling a meeting and bringing people together in a meeting, that changes you. And that changed them, and they were changing me while we were changing each other as we went through it. And so ultimately I'd say this because, I've been a teacher at Loyola for 20-something years, but I interviewed for this job with the Center for Constitutional Rights as the legal director. And it was like the last interview in front of the entire staff and all that. And somebody asked me, who was your favorite teacher? Who was the most influential teacher you ever had? They had less education than anybody, that I've been exposed to, but they had more wisdom and more experience and the opportunity to inspire. And when I felt sorry for myself, or I was having problems, and then you share other people's lives, and that puts things in perspective to you. And if they can be hopeful, and if they can challenge the system, and they can take on these things, then I can join in with it. So they have provided, I think, over the years, lots of moments for me to understand how to learn from the people. Not that I have things to contribute, and I have skills, and I have things that they don't know. But life tells you, if you do this, is that they have lots of things that we don't know. And that it ends up being an exchange. It becomes a relationship. And in a relationship, you can grow and they can grow. And it's not I grow at the expense of you, or I'm giving you something. Sure, I am giving you something, but you're giving me something too. Debbie will tell you, for years worked the fishing community down at the very, very bottom of the Mississippi River. And lots of times they had no money to pay, but we'd get home and there'd be a cooler full of shrimp that were caught that day. And that shrimp, knowing that they were from friends, and and they made a special drive of 75 miles each way to do that, it's the biggest fee I maybe ever earned, and it's those sorts of things that I think by diving into these relationships, you develop a confidence in people's innate power to do things for themselves if given the opportunity and the space is created. And it is something that, it's like any other skill. It's like if you do it long enough, you get to know, you don't know how it's going to happen, but some beautiful things are going to happen. If you put a bunch of people who are being treated unjustly, they go together, and they have respect for each other, and they are going up against people who are treating them unjustly, that you know from your experience, in life experience, that if you stay with this for a while, some incredibly beautiful and powerful things are going to result from that. And that is a lesson that they have taught me, and that others have taught me over the years, that really show that it is like, so this idea of love is true. That it really is relationship based, and that you will do things for people, and they will do things for you that are far beyond lawyer-client. So I don't usually have clients anymore. I have people that that are my friends, or people that I love, or people that I consider my family. And there are new people, there's new people that join that group, and you have to develop new relationships. But that's what I meant when I was saying it was a long way to answer.
No, but it was really, really helpful, I think, to a lot of us. I mean, I think that what you both showed is, not only is this a long-term process, but it's a very human process. And I think, and so that brings me to a next question that I think a lot of people in this room have, is that because it's a very human process, I think there's a lot of moments where we just don't know what to do, what is the right thing to do. One might seem like the easy, right solution to answer a specific injustice, but it might not actually be building power or supporting the community. And can you talk about a moment where you felt lost, or you did something in response to an injustice and you later regretted the action that you took because you realized that it wasn't actually empowering the community?
So let me start while they're thinking this through. I represented a couple people who were on death row in Louisiana. And one guy, and I would come in to these cases, I did 4 cases, and I was called into these cases at the last minute. People have already been convicted, they've already done all their appeals, and there's like a team coming in trying to save them at the end. And I was usually the local lawyer. They'd have lawyers from New York or Chicago or some other place that would help out. Well, this one guy, we were able to put his, got involved, able to postpone his execution. Another date came up, we were able to postpone his execution. And at the end, it came, it didn't look like it was going to be postponed. And he said, "Bill, would you come to my execution?" He said, "Because I don't want to invite anybody from my family. I don't want my kids to see it." He said, but I want at least one person there that I know I can trust. And so I agreed to do that. And fortunately, the execution got put off. But 6 months or 8 months later, or something like that, it got put on again. And I walked with him through the process of execution in Louisiana, which is a horrifying thing. And it was so horrifying that when I walk through it, they shave your head, they put on a diaper, you have the waiting, you wait to this time while there's still last minute appeals and the like. Go all the way to this, and at the very end, there's maybe 10 people there. They strap him into a chair. This was that day. And they put a thing over his head, and then they electrocuted him. And so this was a person who was a person 1 minute, and the next minute they were not a person. And it was, I felt like such a failure as a person and as a lawyer and all that, because it had a really terrific legal team that tried to put this together. And honestly, ever since then, I have been angry at myself that I just stood up and walked out of the room. That I believe that I should have taken my chair and destroyed everything in that room. Because I was acting still rationally and acting like a lawyer and following the rules while the state and all the machinery of the state, consciously, as intentionally as you can, eliminated a person from his existence. And I just felt so horrible, and I felt like I was actually a part of the machinery of death, as opposed to, I was on his side, but by just going along with this and being courteous and being professional and being quiet in that, then I think I really tore something inside of myself that has never totally been stitched back up. And the reason I say this about is that if you do this work, and if you have multiple relationships with multiple people in multiple groups and all that, you absolutely are going to have failures. That failure and disappointment in that is an essential part of social change, right? Everything where anybody was successful, ultimately, if you trace it back, there was an incredible number of failures in terms of people trying to do that. But if you're with the right team and the right people, you can get over that. When I walked out of the prison that night, there was people there to support me. And my wife supported me, and I've healed up enough to be able to fight the death penalty in other kinds of ways. But understanding at that moment, you cannot be alone. You can't be a solo person in this struggle. And you can't always follow the rules, because if you follow the rules, it's going to take something out of your soul that's not going to be there all the time when you're back. That's not a story I've ever really told to a group. So I'm not sure if that came out the way that I intended it to come out, but it's part of, you know, it's part of what this work is. There are tremendous failures. There are tremendous and beautiful, inspiring moments.
Ok. Bon, m'a essayé de penser. En réalité, je pense que notre travail, nous faisons pile, ouais. Et des fois, nous faisons des décisions et qui parlent bien et qui pour construire le mouvement social que nous avons construit.
So I'm trying to think through, it's a very good question, and the reality is in this work that you do have a lot of failures. There are times when you don't do things well, and including things that have a negative impact on organizing.
Même, je pense que ça plus arrivé dans construire et travailler avec l'organisation. Et côté, nous sommes capables de prendre des décisions ou bien nous sommes capables de discuter. Parce qu'en réalité, nous sommes toujours dans une discussion et sous question légale. Et pour nous voir qui est bonne décision pour nous prendre, mais il y a une activité et activiste. Mais il peut arriver certaines fois et vous prenez une décision légale et qui gagne l'organisation et qui va bailler et assez de confiance, oui, on va comprendre pour qu'ils soient faits parce que des fois légal. Mais ça, oui, il faut souvent en Haïti et
so and these problems sometimes often arise when in the course of our relationships, when we're constructing relationships with our clients, and a lot of time we spend time trying to figure out and discussing with them what is the right thing to do.
Yeah, mais des fois on est sous pression tout. Et pression et client, soit les gens qui sont en prison, yo même qui ont besoin de libérer. Mais des fois, on petit temps plus en prison, c'est qu'à mettre plus pression pour corriger le problème net.
Okay, one example is sometimes with the political prisoners that you obviously with your client you have pressure from the political prisoner to get out of prison. And on the other hand, the presence of the person in prison actually does increase pressure for systemic change.
Et dans le droit de travail là, et par exemple, je ne sais pas si Nicole rappelé ou bien songer toutes les activités que nous faisons dans la PCFR avec les syndicats. Mais en pile fois, ils pensaient qu'il faut aller là. Ou bien ils relèvent, mais légalement, ou pas de provision. Et ça, des fois, choqué. Et mettez en déroute. Et pour ne pas, soit pas venir encore, pas continuer le mouvement, parce que même, normalement, ça lié avec problème misère en Haïti, problème précarité de travail, là. Et puis, il y a besoin de jeunes comme là. Parce que il y a des gens qui révoqués, et ils n'ont pas payé, même moi, et bonus pour le mois de décembre, ils n'ont pas payé au dernier salaire, et ils n'ont pas payé pour prestation. Donc, ils ont pris la pression, et qui permet de faire des décisions, et qui pas marché, et ou bien qui des fois pas gagner provision légale, ou du moins tout dans la tête ou après temps, et pour que nous résoudre le problème de manière générique. Mais pression ça ne va pas permettre tout, et puis ça démobilise les gens.
So sometimes, especially, and Nicole knows about some of these examples with our workers' rights work, that you often get pressure from both individuals and organizations who are victims of labor-based human rights violations. And you get pressure to do something. And one problem, sometimes we have pressure to do something that we actually don't think that we have a legal basis to stand on. And then you're concerned that that's going to, you're going to be seen as losing, and that's going to end up demobilizing people. So you're reluctant to take that risk. The other issue is sometimes that an individual, especially if an individual has a potential for monetary settlement, that they can sometimes, especially because they're desperate, they can settle for something that is short of vindication of rights, that ends up being desirable for them in this context, but ends up undercutting the movement for the vindication of the right.
Pas quoi, non, ça m'a songé que aspect légal yo qu'on crée problème, mais c'est question principe. Le principe, par exemple, pour construire un mouvement. Et exemple, je suis capable de voir qu'il y a des fois, dans BAI, il y a un pile de monde qui vient. Il faut mettre des principes pour chaque monde et fondement pour faire conférence. des cas avec des gens qui pensent que les gens faut le faire, etc. Il faut respecter le principe. Moi, c'est pareil, ça y est, plus problème dans la démobilisation, question que l'aspect légal, non parce que nous tous pensons nos avocats, nous avons fait de telles décisions, nous-mêmes nous avons un argument. Parce qu'à chaque décision qu'on a fait, et sous question légale, par exemple, notre dossier viol, nous avons décidé pour nous faire cassation sur lui, nous les clients, nous les organisations, tout, et nous discuter pour ça nous avons besoin de faire. Et donc, nous devons faire participer dans l'action légale que nous avons fait, mais pas de trop, parce que pas de trop de problèmes dans ça, mais toujours c'est un aspect principe là, pour venir, ou bien pour respecter les principes, ou bien pour venir à l'heure. Donc, l'heure radicale dans ce sens-là, créer et être chargé.
And a lot of the problems that we do have, or the dilemmas, come not necessarily on the idea of the choice between legal and organizational strategies, but actually with the implementation of the details of the organizational strategy. So just at the mundane level of, in our office when we have space open for organizing, but we have requirements about using the facilities and reserve things like that are designed to avoid conflicts between different organizations, and that ends up kind of generating conflicts between us and some of the movements.
Bon, l'autre question qui a généré le conflit, et notre expérience, c'est sécurité, mais personnellement sécurité bureau. Les victimes qui sont tellement appropriées de bureau, ils pensent que ils viennent qu'importe là. Donc pour empêcher avocat travail ou bien pour une raison. Donc ça, on fait des gens fâchés parce qu'ils n'ont pas accès à bureau accessible, mais on ne peut pas quitter l'ouvrier parce que c'est difficile. Et côté, il y a parlé, de temps en temps, il y a parlé, nous pas faire un bureau, ça veut dire qu'il faut éviter qu'importe où nous venons, il y a des mauvais papiers ou bien mauvais bagages et permettre de faciliter, il faut faire nous mal dans le bureau.
And so we also have a tension on access to the office, first with our own security, and we're under some threats, and that's the openness of the office and having anybody coming in without permission can endanger that security. And even just people, it's possible that if you let everybody in without any kind of control of that, people can even do things like set us up, leaving papers that could be dangerous, that could end up hurting us in the building.
Okay, so I have so many more questions, and unfortunately we're out of time. So what I just would like to ask Mario and Bill to do very quickly is if you could leave one piece of advice for a lot of, not only new lawyers, but I think people who have been lawyering for several years now about how to keep sustaining in this work. What would be that advice?
Bon, moi-même, conseil que je vais c'est rester écoute. En plus, fois, nos avocats n'ont pas assez écoute pour nous entendre victimes. Et nous pensons que c'est nous qui connaissons. Mais en plus, fois, non seulement nous apprenons de eux, mais dans la discussion, nous avons bon conseil pour nous mener, ou soit plaidoyer, pour nous garder cible. Je pense que nous avons avocat besoin. Il faut nous écoute. Et pour nous entendre, et victimes dans l'aspect, dans sa besoin d'aspiration. Parce que nous comprenons que nous voulons, comme avocat, faire ça, mais même il y a telle attente liée. Je pense qu'il faut nous gagner en plus l'écoute et dans le travail et avec victimes.
One of the things that we need to do as lawyers is we need to listen, and it's something that we're not always that good at doing as lawyers. And listening, you obviously learn about the victims and what happened to them, but if you really listen, you also learn how we can do our own cases better. And so we need to know not only just what the aspirations of our clients are, but their advice.
Thank you.
I would say the most important thing that I would leave with you is to love yourself. Is that I had that little slide this morning, you can't give what you don't have. There is a tendency in this work that we feel that we measure ourselves by how much we give and how much we work and how much we sacrifice in that. And that's fine, we all have to do that, short term at various things, but to do this for the long term, to do it not just for a summer, but for a year, and not just for a year, but for 5 years, and not just for that, but for life, you have to take care of you too. And that means to be in a good relationship. I'm so lucky. You know, my wife Debbie is here. We've just celebrated our 40th anniversary, and she and I have been committed to social justice from the time we started. That was how we met. And I think that relationship, that your partner, the choice of partner, and how you have similar goals and ideals is critically important to doing this for the long run. But also that thing is that you have to take care of yourself and respect and love yourself, which means creating time for exercise, creating time for mental, creating time for fun, creating time for family and all that. And it's very hard to do because the rest of your life, you are never going to be finished. Ever. There's never going to be a day where at 5 or 6 o'clock you're done. It's just not going to happen. So it's a constant thing of setting priorities of what you can get done, trying to learn how to do it better, but also that priority of you so that you can do it tomorrow, and you can do it next week, and you can do it next month, and you can do it next year. And we all have different calibrations of how we do it. But the people who do this well, that you ultimately have to take time to love yourself. And it's an up and down thing where we make mistakes on this thing. We burn ourselves out, and then we start thinking we feel sorry for ourselves, or we think, you know, we're the most radical, or we're the most whatever. And it's time to, you know, just to go home and take a nap, for God's sake. You know? We don't need any more cranky, self-righteous social justice people. You know? We need teammates. And so loving yourself, respecting yourself, taking care of yourself and your relationships, and not working as much. You never hear that. You'll never hear that at work. But those are important to do things for the long run.
C'est non seulement ça, mais il faut aimer soit faire. Il faut aimer soit faire. C'est très important. Et moi-même, je pense que les montrer en juillet 1996 dans le PAI, je suis venu pour 3 mois. Pour il y a presque 20 ans. Ouais? Donc, je pense que ça fait un sacrifice. Parce que le monde a un pile sacrifice. Il m'a donné un pile sacrifice, et sous pas aimer soit faire, et plutôt quitter. Parce que fait travail et pour construire, et particulièrement en Haïti, pour les gens qui sont pauvres, il faut gagner, il faut aimer soit faire. Parce qu'il y a un pile difficulté qu'il faut quitter de temps en temps, qu'il faut énerver. Moi-même, ça arrive, il y a un pile fois de réflexion, je me dis, mais pourquoi ça m'a abandonné? Je me regarde la Boto, je me regarde l'autre victoire qui vient, je me regarde toujours. Et moi-même, quand il y a là, je pense que je m'engage pour aller net. Parce que dernièrement, maman mourit, bon, moi. Et la vie maman, c'est une leçon pour me simuler des lits, parce que je ne suis pas assez, c'est travailler avec les gens qui vivent pour eux, particulièrement avec les femmes en Haïti. Donc il faut aimer travailler.
And another thing I'd like to add is that you really need to love what you do. You know, my example, I arrived in July 1996 at the BAI, and I expected I was going to be there for 3 months, and now it's been almost 20 years. And that's required a lot of sacrifices along the way. But in order, and it's often very hard work on a day-to-day basis, and you really can't get through that unless you really love the work. And especially if you're trying to, for the poor of Haiti with very entrenched, difficult problems, it's just too hard unless you love it. And you have bad days, but you also have enough successes and great collaborations that you can look back, and that keeps you going. And I'll look on a broader level. Recently, my mother passed away, and to a large extent, that I can see when she passed away, I saw that was a validation of what I did, because she grew up in very difficult circumstances, and I was, through my work, I've been able to change the circumstances for people like her.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing.